Um, that kind of maybe leads into the next question. What advice would you give younger players who are working on their shooting at home or on the pond? So maybe give this kid something to work on. And just as well as I do, right? Like young kids, they want to develop that slap shot so bad, right? But at the end of the day, are they strong enough to even really work on that, right? So what if you could suggest one thing that a kid works on during this time, whether it's at home or whether it's on the pond, what would be the one suggestion that you would make to a kid?
That's a really good question, man. Like it even leads, and there's one question I see here. It says, "Hey guys, enjoy listening to you guys. What would you suggest most effective shot in hockey? The wrist, the snap, other question mark, question mark, question mark." And you bring up the clapper and you bring up the slap shot, and we have this thing up here called Sportsnet. It's like Sportsnet TV or something. I did an interview on the decline of the slap shot, and I'm going to get to what some of the best things are to work on, even these times. But the slap shot in hockey is overrated. We had a short discussion on that where it's less than 1% per game that a slap shot's taken in motion. Now, I don't mean a Stamkos 1T or an OV 1T where it gets worked to an area and they meet the puck at the area and they do a slapper 1T. I'm talking 5-on-5, receive a pass, gain the zone, do a big clapper like that. Those days are somewhat gone. But you might see that happen once in 60 games in 2 weeks. And the guy will score on a slap shot and everyone's like, hey, I got to learn a slap shot now because it happened once. So the numbers don't lie. But the best thing that these players should be working on to help them with their shot, in my opinion, that goes with the hand positioning, consistency. When you get a good shot, put a piece of tape on for your bottom hand to be positioned in the right spot all the time. And don't overload the puck. But one of the things you got to do, you got to make to get a good shot, you got to make it bend. And when you want to work on your shot, you want to get your bottom hand to push down. When your bottom hand pushes down, what's it make your stick do, everybody? Makes it flex. And this thing does not want to be flexed. No matter where you flex it from, it doesn't want to be flexed. It wants to be straight. And everyone's downward pressure is in a different place. We're all like fingerprints when we do stuff. Fingerprints. So we want to make sure that when we get comfortable with what we're doing, one of the suggestions I have to help you with your shot or improve your shot is to get downward pressure. Try and break your stick every time you shoot. And then that will help you to gain pressure or power. And that downward force will force that kickback return technology. If your stick can flex, it will force to help you get power in your shot.
Good tips there. Working with some elite players that you work with, what's a couple thing that separates those guys from the next? The guys that get to the college and the pro level, what do they do different, whether it's their routine, whether it's their work ethic, whether it's whatever stands out to you?
That's a really
their
good
approach
question. Yeah, one of it is the passion to improve every day, but have a plan with that, and then stick with, like, sometimes what will happen is, as an analogy or comparison, like a ratio to one player that trains down this road, he's with this shooting coach, with this skating coach, with this yoga coach, a stick handling coach, or breathing. There's all kinds of coaches that are available, but they're on this one road and they know what their routine. They have a schedule. But the difference between an elite player and a great player is that the players that are going down this road, their mentality or their mantra or what they do every day, whether it's on the ice or off the ice, is going to help them improve when they're in competition mode. So it's like, I'm not just going to the gym because everyone else goes to the gym and that's what I'm supposed to do because I'm a professional athlete or I want to become one, that everyone goes to the gym and, like all these teams are providing off-ice trainers and all kinds of stuff. I'm just doing it because everyone does it. Instead of having the mindset of, I'm doing this because I know when I do these squats, when I do these presses, when I do my yoga and my stretching, when I go on the ice, it's going to give me more power, more strength, more agility, and more energy when I'm doing proper breathing and my mind is working properly. I'm assessing what I'm doing so I can always improve and I can always have feedback on what my performance was like. And then there's I didn't touch the puck. I had 6 shifts. I didn't touch the puck. What the, like they'll get into this negative attitude when I feel like you should, in those situations, reestablish what you did without touching the puck. Good players don't touch the puck. And when they do, they just put it in the damn net.
Right.
So there's
Find ways.
So many different variables out there, but the difference is having a plan, sticking with it, and trusting that the people you surround yourself with or who you train with and who's training you is going to take you to the next level every day.
How we've got some coaches, and I'm gonna share this video as well that I'm gonna watch. How important is it that you have a relationship outside the rink with your players in terms of, especially in what we've been with or through the last couple of years, a lot of these players that you almost become like, I guess you could call it like a father figure, right? Like they need to talk to somebody. And I think that's been a common theme the last couple of years is you know when your kids are frustrated, when they're upset, when they're not themselves. And I think from a coaching standpoint, you have to be able to recognize that in your players, right? Because hockey players have that tough guy mentality, and a lot of times they're not willing to talk to you. But I'll give you an example. The last two years ago, I was working with some guys that were playing in the East Coast League, right, or the SP, or maybe trying to make it to the AHL. But the East Coast League, like half the teams were playing and half the teams weren't, right? It just made no sense. It depended on what state you lived in. So here you have guys they signed their first year contract or their first pro contract, or they're getting ready to go to school and to play Division I college, and the seasons were suspended. So like, how important is that relationship that you have with your players to get those guys through that situation?
One of the things that comes to mind is like, this is me personally, like, and I know I can count on one hand in the whole wide world who there are people out there that are in development or in coaching that are somewhat like me. And I'm talking to one right now where what we try and do is we try to mentor. We want to be a mentor. We want to be a father figure or a parental kind of figure. It's our job to get the message out. And it usually starts from the first evaluation session when you start to gain a connection between the athlete or the hockey player, whatever you want to call it, and us and what we're delivering, and what we let them know what they really need, not what they want, but what they need. I learned many years ago that you should, in my opinion, after learning this, you should never tell someone what they want to hear. You got to tell them what they need to hear, but you got to deliver it in a way where it's understandable and perceived that they know that you have their interest in your best interest and what they want to do, what their dreams are. Like, hey, if you have a dream to get paid to play this game, then we can give you as much suggestions and as much tools and we can give you almost everything that it takes to become a pro or to get paid in the game. But it's up to you to how you use it when you take it from us. And then once they start taking suggestions and we know when that connection's made, then it doesn't have to be hockey related. Like there's a guy that plays in a team called, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of the Carolina Hurricanes, but there's a guy that I met about 6 years ago when he was in before he played Major Junior up in Western Hockey League. And he will contact me and say, hey, this is how I feel, Turkey. It has nothing to do with hockey. But it's like, okay, let's reestablish the connection, give everyone reminders on what it would take for them to get back to, feeling better about themselves and what it takes for people like us to give them information or send them somewhere. Doesn't have to, sometimes we're not the answer. Like you said, one of the best things you said, Nelly, right now was like, I never knew how to handle this kind of stuff. We never come across the friggin' pandemic where we've been shut down. And then all of a sudden our phone rings off the hook like, hey, how can you help us with what we need to do? We're missing this. Like we're scratching our BALLS because we want to get back to, we want to get back to something. We can't. Like, I'm so used to skating every day. Now I haven't skated in 2 weeks. What do I do? And then that's what we got to come up with answers depending on who's asking.
For sure. And I think our teaching and our approach has got to be different with every guy, right? Your approach isn't going to be the same with, it's like you said, it's a fingerprint, right? And so you have to be creative in dealing with each player almost individually. Oh yeah. Right? Because you can tell one guy one thing and it's not going to work for another guy, right? Like, I think, and at the end of the day, like, I think that's how some of your pro coaches do so well, right? It's almost like those guys know how to play the game, right? It's you become a psychologist, right? Like, how are you going to tell Patrick Kane to play the game? Like, he's one of the best players in the world. Same thing, Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid. Like, you don't, right? Like, you let those guys go play, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to kind of get in their head and know what motivates them and know what, and do you agree with that or no?
100%. They just need to know, everyone out there, whether we work with them or not, if there's people that your followers are watching this right now, they need to know that we're here for them. Doesn't matter. I don't care. You can ask a question. I don't care if you're in Malaysia right now. You're 12 hours ahead of us. Send messages through. Whatever's on your mind, we're going to get an answer back to you. Maybe not right away, but we'll get back to you. And we'll make suggestions to help you to do whatever you want to do to improve yourself as an athlete, hockey player, as a person. But if they know that we're here, then they'll start communicating. Even with the ones that have, they're challenged to really, want to ask questions, whether it's the background history, whether they feel a little bit of embarrassment, like, there's no stupid question ever in life, right? Because if you need to learn something, we're here to help. That's what they